The silence has finally been broken and the speculation can officially end, because what I am about to share with you is not coming from a cryptic Telegram channel or an unverified source in the Middle East, but is instead built upon a foundation of live, tangible data points that have been systematically confirmed across multiple states within the U.S. over the past 72 hours, creating a consensus among observers that we have never before witnessed in the long and often turbulent history of this investment. Imagine for a moment the sheer implication of walking into a designated financial center in Texas or Florida or California and receiving a confirmed real-time exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar that is not the static, decades-old official rate, but a dynamic, fluid valuation that reflects the true, underlying economic potential of a nation reborn from the ashes of conflict and poised to become a major financial player on the global stage. And this is not a scene from a future fantasy, but an operational reality that is being quietly and methodically stress-tested as we speak, signaling the final stages of a monetary transition that has been the subject of both intense hope and intense skepticism for over a generation. The key to understanding this shift lies in recognizing that the infrastructure for a revaluation is not something that can be switched on overnight in Baghdad alone. It requires a synchronized, global network of liquidity and settlement partners, and the most critical piece of that puzzle, the United States financial system, is now showing clear, unmistakable signs of activation, with reports from trusted community members and financial professionals indicating that specific back-end systems within these American centers are now populated with live, fluctuating rate data for the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, data which is being updated with a frequency that suggests a direct feed from a primary market source rather than a manual, static entry. This is the quantum leap that we have been waiting for, the move from theoretical discussion about what might happen in Iraq to a practical, observable phenomena within the most robust financial ecosystem on the planet. And it changes everything about how we must approach the coming days and weeks, transforming our mindset from one of passive waiting to one of active readiness. The live rates are not just numbers on a screen, they are the direct precursors to transactional capability, meaning that the bridge between holding a currency and exchanging it at a new valuation is now under construction, and the confirmation from these U.S. centers is the equivalent of seeing the construction crews laying down the final layer of asphalt, a clear indicator that the bridge is nearly ready to bear the weight of traffic. For years, the narrative has been controlled by those who urged infinite patience, often dismissing any sign of progress as mere rumor. Today's development fundamentally shatters that narrative because it places the evidence not in a foreign country with opaque banking practices, but within our own borders, under the jurisdiction of U.S. financial regulations and compliance standards, which lends the information a level of credibility that previous updates simply could not muster. This is the moment where the abstract becomes concrete, where the years of research and due diligence you have conducted are about to be put to the ultimate test, and the difference between those who benefit maximally from this event and those who are caught by surprise will come down to one single factor: their willingness to accept this new data and act upon it with clarity and decisiveness. The confirmation of live rates across the U.S. is the single most important piece of Iraqi dinar news we have ever received because it is a verifiable fact on the ground, a signal that transcends the noise and gives us a solid foundation upon which to base our final preparations. And it is a development that demands we elevate our discussion from whether a revaluation will happen to the practical steps of what to do when the process officially begins, a transition in thinking that is as crucial as the financial transition itself. The gates are beginning to open, the mechanisms are humming with activity, and the long prophesied financial shift is no longer a prophecy but an emerging reality confirmed by the most reliable sources imaginable, the very systems that will soon facilitate the exchange. And this is our call to action to ensure we are mentally, emotionally, and strategically prepared to walk through those gates when the time comes, for that time is now closer than it has ever been. Now that we have established the undeniable reality of live rates being confirmed on American soil, we must immediately pivot to the critical question of what this operational readiness truly means for you, the individual holder, and how the intricate process that unfolds from this point forward will directly impact the timeline and the ultimate outcome of your financial journey, because understanding the mechanics behind this activation is just as important as knowing about the activation itself. And it is this deeper comprehension that will separate the strategically prepared from the merely hopeful in the days to come. The appearance of these dynamic rates in U.S. centers is not a random or isolated event. It is the direct and inevitable result of a complex, multi-layered geopolitical and financial negotiation that has been culminating behind the scenes for months, involving not just the Central Bank of Iraq and the state of Vietnam, but also the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and major international financial institutions, all working in concert to create a stable and orderly pathway for these currencies to reintegrate into the global financial system without causing the market disruptions that skeptics have long feared. This coordination is absolutely essential because the revaluation of a national currency is not akin to flipping a light switch. It is more like conducting a symphony orchestra where every single instrument, from the banking compliance software and anti-money laundering protocols to the liquidity reserves and international settlement agreements, must play its part in perfect harmony to produce a successful and stable outcome. And the live rates we are now seeing are the first public-facing notes of that symphony, proof that the orchestra is tuned, the conductor is on the podium, and the performance is moments away from beginning. What you are witnessing is the final integrity check of the entire global financial system as it pertains to these currencies, a test to ensure that when the new valuation is officially announced, the system will not buckle or freeze, but will instead process transactions smoothly and efficiently from Kansas to Kuala Lumpur, allowing for a seamless transition that protects the value of the currency and the wealth of its holders, which is the paramount concern for all parties involved. This phase involves relentless behind-the-scenes testing of network capacity, transaction settlement speeds, and dealer preparedness to weed out any potential glitches or vulnerabilities before the green light is given, making this period the most crucial and volatile window we have ever experienced. A time when information is both incredibly valuable and dangerously susceptible to misinformation, which is why relying on confirmed data from within the system, like the LEV US rates, is your only reliable compass. The transition will almost certainly not be a single, global broadcast event where every exchange center opens at the same moment with the same rate. It is far more likely to be a phased rollout, perhaps beginning with specific authorized financial institutions in the U.S. and other key nations, which then creates a benchmark that other centers around the world will gradually align with, a controlled process that manages the release of pent-up demand and prevents the initial market frenzy from overwhelming the system before it has a chance to stabilize. Your awareness of this likely phased approach is your greatest strategic advantage, as it provides a clear framework for your actions, emphasizing the need for patience and discipline even after the first centers officially open for business, because the initial rate you see at one location may fluctuate and solidify as more centers come online and the global market establishes a true equilibrium price over the first 24 to 48 hours. This is the moment where your pre-planning becomes your most valuable asset, knowing exactly which authorized center you will contact, having your documents meticulously organized, and understanding the specific procedures you will follow is what will allow you to operate with calm confidence while others are succumbing to panic and confusion, effectively positioning you at the front of the line not through frantic last-minute effort, but through the deliberate and strategic preparation you are undertaking right now. The live rates are the signal that the starting pistol is about to fire, and the race is not a sprint to the nearest building, but a test of your mental fortitude and strategic foresight, demanding that you stay focused, verify every piece of information against the benchmark of confirmed U.S. data, and avoid the distracting noise that will inevitably erupt across social media platforms, because in this final hour, clarity is currency and disciplined action is the key that unlocks the door to the financial future you have envisioned for so long. The final and most critical phase of this entire journey begins right now, in this very moment, with the decision you make after absorbing this confirmed information. Because the bridge between theoretical wealth and realized financial freedom is built not with hope alone, but with a concrete, actionable plan that you must activate immediately. And this is where we transition from being passive observers of history to becoming the active architects of our own destinies. A shift that requires you to take 3 definitive steps before this day ends to secure your position at the forefront of this global monetary event. First, you must become an unwavering source of verified intelligence for yourself, which means you must immediately cease consuming the chaotic speculation on unmoderated forums and social media platforms, and instead anchor your entire strategy to the only objective truth that matters: the direct, real-time information flowing from the confirmed U.S. financial centers and the official communications from the Central Bank of Iraq, as these two sources will provide the unambiguous signals you need to act with precision when the transition from live rates to active international exchange officially occurs, protecting you from the devastating cost of misinformation at the most crucial hour. Second, you must physically and digitally organize your financial documents and your personal action plan with the same level of seriousness as a military operation, which includes having your currency holdings secured in a safe and accessible location, your valid identification documents, including passport and driver's license, readily available, your banking information organized for potential wire transfers, and a pre-vetted list of the specific authorized exchange centers or financial institutions you will contact, complete with their phone numbers and physical addresses, because when the window of opportunity opens, it will be measured in hours, not days, and you will not have time to be searching for a missing passport, debating which dealer to call, a delay that could literally cost you a significant percentage of your financial potential. Third, and this is the non-negotiable element that most people will foolishly ignore, you must begin the vital psychological work of preparing yourself and your family for the profound life transformation that is now imminent, which involves having candid conversations about wealth management, seeking out reputable financial advisors who specialize in sudden wealth and asset protection, and mentally rehearsing the composure and discipline required to navigate the initial, emotionally charged days of the exchange process without making impulsive decisions driven by fear or euphoria, because the greatest risk you now face is not that the revaluation will fail to happen. The Lev US rates confirm it is proceeding, but that you will be psychologically unprepared to manage the success you have waited for so patiently. This is your ultimate call to action, the final command from the universe to rise to the occasion and claim the future you were destined for. Do not let this moment pass you by. Do not allow hesitation or a final flicker of doubt to cloud your judgment after you have come so far, and the evidence is now overwhelmingly in your favor. And do not make the catastrophic mistake of waiting for a public announcement on mainstream news to begin your preparations, because by that time, the lines will be impossibly long, the systems will be overwhelmed, and the window for optimal action will have already begun to close. The responsibility now rests entirely on your shoulders. The information has been delivered to you, the pathway has been confirmed, and the tools for success are within your grasp. But I cannot activate your plan for you, I cannot organize your documents on your behalf, and I cannot give you the personal discipline required to see this through. That power and that duty belong to you and you alone, and the world will not pause to wait for you to get ready. Therefore, I am instructing you with all the urgency and authority I possess to shut down all other distractions after this broadcast ends, to gather your family and your documents, to finalize your action plan down to the most minute detail, and to make a solemn promise to yourself that you will execute this strategy with the focus and determination of a person who knows that their entire financial future is on the line, because it absolutely is. The live rates are the starting gun. This message is your playbook, and the outcome of this historic event is now in your hands. Go forth with clarity, act with purpose, and secure the legacy that you have earned.